Good evening, every pony, and welcome to the 2022 North American Continental Championship at Everfree Northwest. Single elimination. Dramatic effect pause. I'm Ivory Starlight, no longer screaming into the void in Twitch chat. With me, I have.
Anemoy, you go first.
Eminently Sensible is here.
And also Anemoy.
Or you can introduce each other. That's fine too.
And Ivory's here.
Who's that?
There are three of us now.
There are, in fact, three of us.
On the right, in the picture.
As the pool gets smaller of players, the pool of commentators will grow ever larger. There will be 10 of us in the top two.
I could arrange that. But it looks like they're going ahead and getting set up for the top 8. Let's go ahead and take a look at our table here.
Drum roll.
Oh, so that's what his badge was. I was trying to figure that out on my very pixelated phone screen. Pages is baby flurry heart holding a knife.
Murder
But
Babby.
But it looks like we have Pages on the left and Feathers on the right.
First seed versus the 8th seed. And we have seen the bottom seed beat the top seed before in Continentals.
Oh, yes. And the last time that happened, it involved a Canadian player. So we have 2 Canadian players here. So that's double the chances of that happening.
We have seen both of these players on stream already. Feathers was very recent. I remember she won. I'm pretty sure Pages must have won as well, but I don't remember who he was up against.
I don't think. Yeah, it doesn't look like it shows that, but
But he won 5 out of his 6, so probably it was a win there that we saw.
So if you're Pages, what do you sideboard here?
that's tough because I don't actually. Well, I don't know his exact list, but I don't actually know how much troublemaker hate he's currently running.
Do not hand the ultra rares to Feathers.
That seems to be something we learned today, yes.
She's not gonna rip other people's ultra rares, just her own.
So I will say, as far as Paige's sideboarding, friend-based counterplay is probably less important here than against almost any other opponent. So it's not like I'm recommending you get rid of like belly flop, because that's still very strong. But I'm not sure how necessary something like Midnight really is in this matchup. I mean, she's a big friend, so she's good to reanimate, but her impact is honestly not that huge here.
Yeah, you're definitely. I mean, there's work that can happen with that movement tax, especially since Mono Orange doesn't really have a whole lot of the crazy blue movement that some of the other farm lists we've been seeing lately are running. I did see that he's running the Nightmare Moon epic, I'm wondering if it would be maybe not correct, but advisable to remove the troublemakers, because I mean, how likely are you going to play that against someone whose entire deck is based around beating up troublemakers?
Yeah, for sure. You don't typically want to bring any more troublemakers to a farm.
Yeah, I can see like maybe keeping in a Winterzilla. I don't know if Pages is running that, but I would definitely be eyeing some of those troublemakers to get rid of.
And providing a discard outlet is maybe not the best against orange. When you have to discard your hand down to 4.
Huh, interesting. Yeah, I mean, Pages is running Big Hoof. We saw Big Hoof do a lot earlier today. So it's an interesting point that she wants to discard that, but it's typically not super straightforward for her to do so. So if you just let her discard due to hand limit, it's not actually all that great.
And it's even better as when you play it and then retire it and then banish it. That's the optimal way.
So I do see Chaos Magic Blast and Bodyguards in Page's deck, and both of those are probably going to be relatively lower impact here than most games. I don't recommend by any means taking out Bodyguards because Bodyguards is one of Page's best responses to Catajack. However, um, the fact that Pages has quite a bit of friend-based counterplay is probably not going to do him a ton of favors against such a friend-light deck.
Yeah, and yeah, that's actually a really tough one. Like there's a lot of things that we're thinking that could be a good sideboard choice, or maybe that's not as useful in this matchup, but there's no like definitive, yes, this is exactly what I take out in a situation like this,
Yeah, absolutely.
which at this level of play is definitely quite nerve-wracking. I know, having been there myself.
I think icing will work well. I think Princess Twilight will work well.
Yeah, everything is icing has kind of underperformed on Steam today, but you're up against a deck that plays friends, resources, and troublemakers. So this is where icing is best. One
Well,
thing else,
go ahead.
one thing I was gonna say is this deck being Reanimator, but a unique flavor of it, everything is interrelated. And so sideboarding to a layperson like myself, I don't know what is even safe to sideboard because everything affects everything else. Assumably, the deck builders have kind of a short list of the cards that are okay to take out. And that's the list that Pages is kind of comparing against and being like, is this card actually worth it to keep? Because sometimes I know I cut it.
Yeah, it looks
I'm
like he's kind of just going. He's like, I don't know. I'm just throwing. But Pages is a firm believer in the power that is belief when it comes to random effects. So I'm confident he'll get something out of everything is icing this game.
I mean, Throne is nice because we know that Feathers has chaos for extra flips.
Yeah, and two events that give extra flips, so taxing those is not bad. Things like Hasty Friends, you can play the Hasty Friend early to get around that tax, but extra flips have to happen during the face-off.
Yeah, the problem with Changeling Throne is you really want to get that out as early as possible because it's playing it starts being less and less appealing the longer the game goes on.
Yeah, that can happen. Even early. The AT is quite a bit of AT to have to do without, especially when, depending on whether you're even in white yet.
Yeah, Throne is one of those cards that does a lot of different things, but what that means is that it can be hard to make a case that it's worth playing it right in, the particular moment that you're in, because you might not need all of its effects, and so it might not actually be worth the two actions right then. I feel like that's why, even though Throne is so powerful, it doesn't see that much play, at least in most metas, because it's kind of tough to be a perfect fit for the situation at hand.
Yeah, and even when it does see play, it's usually seen as two copies instead of a full play set.
Yeah.
Now, it's a pretty card, and that means it should be played.
Certainly it belongs in collections, along with all of the many and storied history of trash URs.
There are much worse URs that have been in this game than Changeling Throne.
Oh yeah, for sure. It is playable. It's not that bad.
No one's gonna look at you weird for running Changeling Throne in a deck.
Yeah, not like was the Elements of Harmony resource an ultra rare?
Uh, like the individual ones? Because I
I
know
feel
the
I
like
think he's talking about
individual
the
elements were.
resource.
yeah, the I think it was Absolute Discord. I don't remember what it does.
I
It
think
was a big dumb
I
resource.
think I have like 10 in my trade binder for some reason.
You open too much AD.
No such thing.
But then there'll be like rares I don't have 3 of from that set.
Well, we got a little bit of a peek at Feathers' hand, and I saw at least two villains. I saw a Melted Expectation. I didn't catch what the other cards were. But based on those three cards, it seems like a decent hand.
Yeah, I saw Grogar and Storm King. But yeah, Melted Expectations can do some good.
I do feel like it's less impactful here. It was really good against Cadence, but the other tricorns, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it's not bad by any means, but it's less likely to be the type of card that turns around a losing position into a winning one.
True, I just think of it as just troublemaker defense, maybe.
Yeah, for sure, it does that. All right, well, we didn't see this last time, but Pages always has the option to just score on turn one, which is pretty solid. Now, it does prevent her from playing Troublemakers on turn one, but it puts her on even footing with the Skystar. You don't typically think of Grogar and Skystar as doing the same thing, but in this case, pretty much they are.
Just in a different way. Plus, the nice thing is she doesn't reveal what she has too early.
Yeah, and she gets to wait and see, obviously you would expect the reanimator to start by flipping Skystar and putting the tokens there so you can put a villain there to frighten. But if you put the villain too early, Pages might just choose not to do that. So this way, it's a little slower, but you're more guaranteed to frighten your opponent's stuff.
Yeah. Because I mean, if I'm Pages and I see someone drop two troublemakers, I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna pass. Let me see
Yeah,
what you got.
exactly.
Now, the troublemaker at Page's problem is the Queen Chrysalis that sends everything home.
Interesting. Well, I mean, I understand that you want to play two troublemakers and you need the villain to go to the seashells. There's no question that you want to get rid of those tokens. Oh, all right. We were wrong.
No, that's what I said.
Oh, well, I misheard you because
Yeah,
it's too late in the day, I guess.
but no, that makes sense. I think it makes sense anyway. What do
Yeah,
I know?
really. So the downside by letting the tokens live is you open yourself up to things like belly flop, and it'll make, um, certain things a little easier for pages later on, but it's not a
That
big deal.
might actually be the most unfortunate flip we've
Oh
seen in the
no!
top 8 in
It's the
quite a while.
it's the mysterious disappearance
Just
self-foe.
as
Considering how
just
early,
as long as he doesn't keep it in the discard pile and puts it at the bottom of his deck where it's supposed to go.
yeah. So I mean, he's up against a deck that has some really strong resources. You have to keep it in, but he played a resource turn 1, and so he just has no option. He has to hit his own thing. That's really bad.
Yeah, he caught it. But yeah, but I mean, it's hard to resist the Pinky Sense turn 1. I mean, you can't not do that. And
It's a
it's
lot of
such a
value.
it's a low probability of that happening.
Yeah, I mean, people play Pinky Sense Mysterious Disappearance all the time. It's not like some mistake. It's just this little extra risk.
And
It's that 2% chance.
and
All
Pinky
right,
Sense
so
isn't the worst resource for Reanimator to lose.
yeah, I'm wondering how bad is this? Obviously, it feels bad because he just shot his own foot, and that's never fun. But how big of a problem do we think it's actually going to be for him?
It would have been worse
Well,
if it was on +1.
well, in this matchup, I think it's a little more relevant because that was a way for him to get higher flips.
That's true. Just as farm prevention, it would be pretty helpful.
Yeah, not the most foolproof way of stopping farm, but it is an available way.
And then it is useful as a path to do some reanimation, though what we've seen mostly today is that Royal Family has become kind of the preferred way to reanimate, where it's not even reanimation, it's just playing from hand. So in that case, you don't need to discard the thing first. But the other strategies, like Catchy Song, Piggy Sense, would be a pretty good option to get that card in the discard before you reanimate it.
Yeah, we haven't seen Orchard Blossom all day.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Orchard Blossom is actually even in these decks.
I don't think it's in the version that Bugle's playing. I don't know if it's in Page's version. Rest in peace, Orchard Blossom. You were once great, but you have been replaced.
Orchard Blossom, yeah, for the last meta was like the premier way to enter as a reanimator.
Especially early with just two reasonable wrecks.
Yeah, it does point out the fact that this style of reanimator opens so much differently than it used to. Used to be student 6 with infiltrating the hive, and now it's Skystar lacking lesson plans. That is just a very different flavor of early game.
White entry into Throne.
Well, getting the throne out early is, like I was saying before, is definitely the best time to play it because now he can continue to get value out of it so long as it stays up.
Yeah, he gets some nice passive bonuses from that. He actually affects a lot of stuff in Feather's deck since she has multiple chaotic effects and multiple face-off tricks.
Yeah, those extra flip cards costing a little bit more.
Yeah, it's perfectly plausible that the throne will pay for itself in those extra flip taxes.
Looks like she's currently down.
All right, we've already
Up,
got a tax.
playing a card during a face-off.
Yep, that's a bighorn, like we've seen before. Sorry, big hoof. A lot of his body parts are big, okay? It's a big item card, and you can banish it from discard in order to flip an extra card, which is certainly what Pages will be doing to win this face-off. Not Pages, Feathers. Too many plural nouns. I'm getting confused.
It's hard not to be confused with that evil flurry heart staring you down.
I just can't focus on anything else.
We fear for our lives. And it looks like Storm King is defeated.
All right, so that's going to put us into the 4 actions per turn realm of the game. Things are going to pick up a bit.
They are. Seems like they've already been picked up. These troublemakers are dropping.
Yeah, for sure, Feathers has turned on. I mean, she's basically doing exactly what she wants to be doing. But Pages has not yet done a big reanimation. But with 4 actions, I suspect he'll be able to on this coming turn here.
I declared the search for Big Hoof to be the Johnny of the day earlier today.
Big Hoof does work.
Yeah, Big Hoof is pretty cool.
So what reanimation target, I guess you could say, do you think would be most desirable here?
I think it's gotta be Endless Friendship. I mean, that's kind of the cheat answer because she's just the best one, but none of them are exactly silver bullets against Feather's strategy, and Endless Friendship is just all around pretty solid. The extra size I feel like is going to come in handy because Pages just needs to try to smack down some of these troublemakers himself, and preventing the Frighten is also good for specifically that purpose.
I think I agree with you that Endless Friendship is, if he has any control over what he gets, Endless Friendship is what I would think he would want to go for.
Yeah, besides that, I mean, currently with no friends on the board, I would be a bit disappointed in Midnight or Everything is Icing. But maybe he's got some other, extra special, not 3-color cards that would be just right for this situation that he might want to zap in that I'm not aware of.
I think I'm leaning towards icing just because of all the troublemakers.
I suppose it's fair. The downside is I don't really want icing to trigger putting Chrysalis back into Feather's hands if I'm Pages here. That's just asking for even more pain.
He could. I think I saw one of these when they were looking through the decks. He could be really cheeky and drop an Ember my way or the highway down and just be like,
Yeah.
I'm ending your face off.
You know what? I think Endless Friendship may be better, but I think Ember would be my second choice here.
I just want to see Ember hit the board
Give her
secretly.
some play sometime in this game's existence.
Like, is it correct? I don't know, nor do I care. Play Ember.
We just
The
want...
card art's so good. She's pointing off the card border. It's great.
I think Ember says exhaust, and then Ember doesn't ready the next turn until
Right, it's
one more turn.
expensive, but gets to just end face-offs repeatedly. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and with Feather's flip power, that definitely makes sense.
I think there's all. I think she also prevents friends involved in face-offs from being frightened or dismissed, which can definitely shield you from some face-off tricks. Doesn't stop exhaustion, but
Yeah, it's a bit specific since, Ember is already in play before the face-off starts. The person knows about it, and so they can just try to, play those tricks pre pre face-off. So, it's not actually very bulletproof protection, but, forcing your opponent's hand and making them make decisions before the flip is nice.
yeah,
But yeah, as you say, it's almost irrelevant against a mono orange deck.
that is.
All right. Well, with Staff of Sakanas coming out, that's yet more reason that we want Endless Friendship.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely am gonna go with Endless Friendship, being the primary target here. Still can't quite make out what's in Paige's hand, but
Oh, friends of the
oh,
family.
these flips have not been kind to him this game.
Yeah. This is why in this top cut where it really matters, we play a 2 of 3. So if you get terrible luck, and if this terrible luck does end up tanking Pages, then he'll get to try again.
Yes. And maybe he decided, you know what? I sideboarded wrong. I'm gonna sideboard differently this time.
That isn't to say that Pages is out, just that he need not lose hope. Which, I mean, good. He is the top seed. Let's give him a chance to turn this one around.
Oh, now I remember. We saw Pages against Pancake.
Right, because Pancake ended up playing against a lot of Reanimator today.
Did he go against both GP and Cheese? Not GP and Cheese, Bugle as well?
Yeah, Bugle and Pages, and he actually played Bugle twice because their first game finished so fast.
Oh, did they end up playing a second time? I was in and out of service when that game was happening.
Yep, just quick friendly. So for everybody's education here, it seems that Pancake is slightly favored against Reanimator because he has lost twice and won once. But his win was one of the real games against Bugle.
So he plays the smile, smile, smile.
And what's the second mode?
Hmm. Looks like he opted to replace
Yep.
Feathers' problem.
Pretty solid. Now, replacing that problem is no longer hugely relevant. The one extra strength now that Staff of Sakanas is out isn't that big of a deal to Feathers. But just moving Feathers back so that she can't score, trivially again is pretty good.
Yeah, now I'm leaning towards Princess Twilight now that Staff is out.
In news from a different game, Big Cheese won the first game in his match against Bugle, so they're going into game 2 now.
How on earth that ended so quickly, I do not know. But
Maybe a concession to save time.
Oh,
Yeah,
a
I
100% a concession to save time. I'm just
Ah,
curious what got them to that point so quickly.
I wonder if Bugle thinks that um, he has a really good chance in a long game, and so he's trying to save time for a longer game. Because I could see if, Bugle thinks that he scores earlier than Cheese, that he might just want to drag out that first game, even if he's going to lose, to try to leverage time limit later.
It looks like the verdict of what caused it was Cheese flipped a pair of Chaos Magic Blasts, I'm sorry, and got a belly flop back from a missed main. Yeah, that's a lot of feels bad happening pretty quickly.
So I suppose it's possible it was not a tactical calculation from Bugle and more like, I want this game to stop happening, please. Let's go
Yeah.
to game two.
my
I
friends, they are gone.
At the end of the day, all anyone wants to do is steal all of their opponent's friends and then retire all of the friends.
That was my first Continentals deck, and it was a glorious thing.
Wow, Paige is actually opting to pay 4 to go to the Storm King. By which I mean feathers.
That is definitely interesting.
Yeah, I might have thought about just going to the Vicious Vengeance because it's cheaper.
It could be that she's worried about that one power difference.
Or she could be worried that maybe Paige is in a position to farm the Vicious Vengeance, though that seems unlikely.
Uh, Actually, it could be because of the rookie mistake that Storm King is currently at. It offsets the tax from Changeling Throne.
It's true. Yeah, you've got a +1 and a -1 here. So it's kind of funny because you can order those however you like. A 0 cost can be added up to 1 and then subtracted back down to 0. So she can now once again play letdown hards for free at a troublemaker face off at that problem. So I guess she's spending money to make money.
Yeah, and I know that I'm pretty sure she still has the power play in her hand, so got a possibility for an extra flip there.
Though, of course, if she actually does get to take that fight, it's 6-on-6, and she might not need any tricks to win because probably her flip average is higher than Paige's. So, how impactful do we think Desert Road is going to be here? It's certainly nice in that it's going to stall out things like Endless Friendship, but it doesn't turn her off. Um, what are the big cards that are actually like disabled by that Desert Road play?
Uh,
Certainly, we have the Chrysalis that we see in Page's discard, but that's not even relevant right now with no friends on Page on Feather's board.
well, it turns off the royal family,
Oh yes, that's a huge hit for sure.
which she knows Pages has one because that was what he got from Smile, Smile, Smile.
Okay, that must have been the thought process then. That's actually pretty nice. You know he signaled intent to play it, and you just get to preemptively counter it. In fact, that's a really effective way to protect these troublemakers because with the royal family, he might have even had a shot at farming both of them if he had played it and also an endless friendship.
Can he get a mysterious disappearance?
Oh, royal family is hasty. I always forget that.
Well, unfortunately for Pages, we know one of his disappearances is already on bottom of his deck.
True, but his deck has been shuffled since then,
Oh,
so
okay.
maybe
Yeah,
it'll be
that's a good
back on
point.
top. Turn off a friend or character that has no text.
Also, worth noting, it was already turned off by Desert Road, so that no text character is double disabled.
No, that was a rallied a friend.
Ah, okay.
Oh, yeah,
So I
I
guess
think
she was just stopping a confront then.
yeah,
Yeah,
because
certainly
lacking
worth it.
lesson plans.
It's not a big tempo play, but just keeping her opponent's score down is not bad.
It looks like she will get that face off. Pages unfortunately flipped missed main there.
The Mist Main itself is not really huge value right now, so losing access to it isn't a big deal, but flipping the two is a bit of a bummer for sure.
Yeah, the low flip is definitely what was unfortunate there.
Well, if I'm Pages, I think I just draw until I find a troublemaker and then put it down.
Yeah, I don't actually know of a way for Pages to come back from this. I think this might be a point where I would expect a game one concession to give more time for game two. But I also am not sure he might have something in his hand that turns everything around. I do see a plus one, or yeah, plus one there.
I mean, you just need a double confront because you've got lacking lesson plans out there.
That's true, and he did just draw a mysterious disappearance. So if he has a way to get into it, that could give him what he needs.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like these games are going to go fast enough that time isn't really going to be an issue for either player. So, if he thinks he has some credible path, he might as well go for it. All right, so does plus one end up triggering Desert Road? I think Desert Road is Enter's play.
Desert Road, I believe is.
Yeah, it's as Enter's play. So Twilight does not come in with any meaningful effects besides being 5 strength, which is perfectly good. And that is enough to enter into the disappearance. Not bad.
And plus one gets around the desert road.
It does, because Desert Road only affects friends. And he chooses the staff. Interesting.
That staff has been a big problem because it's allowed Feathers to play this game friendlessly, which has been a big problem. Like, she's been farming everything and confronting everything, kind of without needing to do any extra work. So I understand that because, Desert Road slows down Pages, but Staff of Sakanas speeds up Feathers, and that's the more important thing right now. Because if Feathers didn't have just another Staff of Sakanas in her hand right now, she would have a lot of trouble confronting that problem.
Well, that's just the rule of staff.
There's always a second.
Yeah. You spend your resources to get rid of a staff, your opponent will always have a second one in their hand.
That's why you play Beam.
Yeah, Beam. Beam has seen a little bit of play. I think,
Not in a while, though.
yeah, no. It's pretty specific. That would be Hyper Beam, maybe, rather than Special Beam Cannon.
Oh yeah, it's the newer one that's still legal.
No, play special beam cannon. That'll be great in a tier 3 environment where you're playing core.
Just sneak it past. Yeah, so, I mean, the fact that Staff of Sakanas is unique kind of adds to that fact that, like, you know, if Feathers did at any point find a second one, it's not like she was going to play it and advertise that fact. It's just stuck in her hand until the first one goes away.
Okay, Twilight is
has
off.
Twilight lost abilities? Oh boy.
She has. And here comes more Stephs.
Is this... I wonder if there's a timing question about what happens if Twilight is frightened based on the +1. Because the +1 is going to go away, but it's also going to stop being attached to Twilight. So I think there's a question of if the +1 is going to cause Twilight to enter the discard or not.
That is definitely an interesting one.
I think it probably wouldn't, but also it seems moot because I think Pages is just trying to circumvent the whole discussion by getting rid of the second staff as well.
Yeah, Pages is lucky he had that.
Yeah, two staffs, great luck. 2 disappearances, just what he needed.
Oh, and he has to discard 2 cards as well.
Yeah, so his hand is running dangerously low. Losing that royal family, honestly, makes a lot of sense because Pages is running out of resource removal in his whole deck, so he probably isn't going to ever get rid of that desert road, so the royal family's basically garbage. But losing the Smile Song is a bummer.
Yeah. What? I don't... But at the same time, I don't know if he would actually have an opportunity to use the Smile Song again.
That's fair. I think it's mostly just to try to prevent a farm if it were to come up. You know, if Feathers puts down a troublemaker there and then has a credible threat of farming it and just closing out the game, Smile could have been okay to save the day.
That's true.
I think they might be talking to the judge about the timing of the mysterious disappearance.
Yeah, they're seeing if Pages was allowed to interdict and say, "Hey, I was thinking before you actually used Sakanas, I would have liked to take an action." Yeah, so we let that one occur, which is pretty much what you always see in normal play, but at very high level, you know, it becomes a little less forgiving. So we got to check that with the judge.
Yeah. These are definitely games where rules are followed to the strictest word.
Ara calls it rushing priority.
No, Ara, you call it what we all know you're thinking, and that is failure to maintain game state.
Hissing in 3, 2, 1.
I want him to do it through his phone microphone, which is really, really crackly.
Yeah, it would make for a better hiss.
I
Oh, Ara's on tilt.
I have no idea what those words mean, so
I
I'm
could
just gonna move
recognize
on.
game state.
Yeah, I mean that's
No,
that's
that
one of
says
the
game state.
yeah one of the first signs of lost game state is misspelled words.
leading up to leading up to the con, I was telling Ara that now he has to listen to me yell into his ear, and he can't say anything to me without
It's the
revealing
perfect
his
crime.
presence.
Yeah, Animoy and I have actually been pretty impressed with Arakat listening into our commentary the whole time. It's not something that typically happens, but it does allow rules queries to be caught quicker.
Yeah.
Looks like a farm attempt is going to be made on Chrysalis.
It seems kind of inevitable that it's going to succeed, and it did.
There's definitely a lot of power.
Yep. Paige has actually outflipped him there with a 6 on Smile Song. It's a high flipper. All right. Do we actually know what Paige's score is?
He's been turning the D20 whenever he's scored, so I think that's an 8.
Yeah, it
Looks
looks
like a
like an 8.
round blob. Could be an 8 for sure. Well, Feathers is definitely at a sizable advantage, but 8 isn't terrible. That's sort of comebackable. We've certainly seen blue decks in this tournament today score 7 points in a turn.
Blue doesn't do that. How would you say such a thing? Blue decks are innocent. They just want to play their fun friends and score fun points and have fun.
Blue did nothing wrong.
The problem that Paige is going to run into, at least in this particular game of the best of 3, is if Feathers, I'm pretty sure that scorecard is far enough down that if Feathers beats that Troublemaker, that's just game.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, even if Pages moves pretty quickly, Feathers could probably still just with enough single confronts. So, I mean, she's in a really good position here.
If he has something that could help him DFO to at least get it to where she's not set up, paying to move, I guess, accomplishes that.
Yeah, it'll push her back and score a lot of points.
Yeah, these aren't super high bonus problems, and by that I mean they're 1 bonus problems, but keeping the game from ending is definitely the more ideal route here.
2 problems come out that are pretty good, but neither of which are really that big of a deal right now. So, Feather's problem prevents Pages from exhausting resources, which applies to Throne, but he hasn't done that once this game. And then Paige's problem prevents Feathers from scoring points at it, but it's a 7, so she probably
Oh,
wasn't going to.
it's a Winterzilla. It's not something farmable.
Wow. Very interesting. Definitely makes sense to go for the +1, and it looks like Pages did not have enough actions to protect Twilight,
Oh,
which is a
yeah.
big bummer. Now, Pages, last turn, had to do an all-out,
Yeah.
put everything you've got on making this double face-off happen so that I don't lose the game. And since he had to do that, he was a little more open to Twilight getting attacked. So that was actually a really good play by Feathers, where she bluffed out a game-winning farm, and in doing so, forced Pages to be overexposed.
Mind games.
And I don't think the Winterzilla was found with Grogar.
It was not. Pirate ship. Pretty late, but still useful.
Yeah, the nice thing is, even if it never does anything else besides this, it still costs just as much as paying 2 to move.
Yeah.
There's the Triad Troublemaker.
So Feathers at this point has 2 troublemakers and 1 extra flip card, and that is her whole hand. So
And
I think she's going to try to farm.
Not enough to confront her problem.
Yeah, she needs another another staff or a friend.
Now, I would think she should probably use that letdown hard proactively, just because, due to the throne, she can't effectively use it during a face-off. It's just better if she uses it now. We know that she probably wants to put Big Hoof in there, in the discard, so I think she should just go ahead and play it now. We have gotten another update about other matches. Smithers, who, if we recall, is playing Dumb Crayola Bug, has won the first game against Max, who was also
Blue Pink.
I believe,
yes.
yeah, I believe Max is using Cadence, Friends of the Family.
Yes, a deck that was most popularized by Elfin Pen, if I recall, in the last online con, and
She's
seems to be doing quite well here as well.
Yeah, it's a strong deck. It definitely can stand on its own. And we actually have another update. Looks like Instagram, who is playing a Stunning Wonder blue list, has won his first game against Pancake.
Pancake was doing the blue farm. So that match would have been another good one to watch. It's really hard to predict how that one would go. Back in the day when Stunning Wonder used just a bajillion dilemmas, it was really hard for farm to make any progress. But now it's a bit more of an even game.
I'm guessing Instagram maybe got his disruption tools unsatisfactory work.
Or he just dilemmaed away all of the troublemakers.
Yeah, even just one well-placed sanctuary construction can still be so devastating.
Going into yellow with motivational speech. That is definitely going to be a reanimation then.
The first catchy song that we have seen all day actually get played. But it's gonna be pretty big. I mean, I have to assume that Twilight is coming back.
He has a lot of friends that he could go with. The problem is that Desert Road means that it probably has to be the Twilight.
Yeah, Twilight makes the most value over time.
Yeah, if you're not going to get the enters play from anything.
Okay, wait. What did he choose? I don't see a new friend on the board.
Did he I'm confused now. Hold on.
What other things does it even do? I don't know.
Maybe because he didn't have orange?
Oh,
Or no,
he
no, he
picked
has
the
yellow.
opponents. No, I'm looking at the card now. I completely forgot about this mode. He picked opponents flip one fewer cards for face-offs until the start of the next turn.
Wow. That that is the definition of, hey, let's just try to survive for one more turn. Because he had to pay 3 for that, including the entry.
So Catchy Song has multiple modes. Who knew?
I mean,
Yeah,
it can
that's one of
also
those
take
songs.
friends from the deck and put them into your hand. I forgot it did that too.
Yeah, it's also both of the other modes are just so much worse than reanimating.
That's like playing It's Gonna Work for like the lower confront requirements.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen like, an Acellus changeling style deck consider that, but it's
Yeah.
just so much less common.
Alright, time for true RNG. I will banish him,
Sure.
flip a card.
All right.
All right, so Feathers is still down by 4.
To play power play.
Sure.
Feathers is up.
Yep.
I tell you,
Okay.
man, I'm winning face-offs that are like 20 plus on my 0.
I gotta try something.
Well,
I know. I mean, that was the best.
he made a good effort to come back. He actually came close, 11 points.
Yeah.
When he was down that far.
Yeah, I mean, he was keeping up score even despite the fact that his board state never got especially good. And, usually you'll see the reanimator get to this point where their board state is just hopelessly ahead, and then it's just a matter of, catching up in score. But that actually never happened here, which is a little surprising, and I guess it just has to do with the fact that a lot of Reanimator's tools here aren't as good against Mono Farm. That being said, the last time we saw Feathers, it was Catajack the movie. And so since Pages never actually got the super devastating board, Catajack was never really even necessary. So Feathers does have options, even when things get bad.
I mean, with this deck, it's like a problem if I don't have.
Bugle comes back in the second game. Ties Big Cheese 1 game apiece now.
Well, that is actually the first reported win here for Reanimator, which had lost its first game in both matches it's present in.
You guys can't hurt now.
We got the 2 finalists from last year facing each other in top 8. Which one of them are going home?
Yeah, it's always exciting when you get this big high-powered match really early in the top cut, but it also means that, like, by necessity, one player who by rights deserved to go all the way to the top is just gonna get smackled down early.
Well, placements are a thing. Getting to the top cut of any tier 3 event is an accomplishment of itself, regardless of how far in that top cut you end up going.
It's true.
Something I haven't done yet, so I salute them.
I don't think they changed their sideboards at all, so I guess they're satisfied with what they picked before.
Oh, interesting.
It sounds like there's some shenanigans going on in the table next to them.
I feel like historically, now I haven't played that many tournaments with a 2 of 3 format with sideboarding, only a handful. But historically, I'm usually sort of unhappy with my first sideboard choice by the time I come around to game number 2.
I'm not even gonna.
My opponent always does something to surprise me.
No.
Well, one thing is, given that these games have been going on all day, people have kind of figured out, okay, this is what I know this person is running. They see their deck lists before they start, and they're like, okay, well, I know what I don't need, what I do need. It can still be a difficult choice, but having knowledge and experience throughout the tournament can make that
Every time
decision
I see stuff,
easier.
I'm like, wow, I should keep this.
I could also see how it could be like an Aracat style decision of like, I don't want to waste brain power on like reevaluating my sideboard decision. I made a fine decision in the first place, and I just need to make sure I'm focused on playing the game.
And I don't want to sideboard wrong and feel bad.
That is
Here you go. You can.
that is one danger of it.
You can determine your fate by shuffling my deck.
Especially since you have people like Aracat whose goal it is to make you sideboard wrong, and then you end up taking out all of your troublemaker hate only to find out your opponent's playing Bluna Farm.
And he's running a 50 card deck because he can't sideboard anything out.
All right. I guess I gotta go with that.
Aracat is the sideboard Chaos King.
Go on, go.
Okay.
I'm gonna assign him that title.
So we do not forget these.
Looks like we have our first top 8 series of games over, and it looks like Smithers will advance to the top 4. He is 1-2 to Max's 0.
So this is the end for Cadence Blue today. Max was the only one playing it. And we get more blue-yellow bubbling up to the top, just like every tournament since ever.
I can think of a few Continentals that have seen yellow blue not bubble to the top, and I know you can as well.
It's true. First of all, yellow-blue is a fairly recent phenomenon, and second of all, it didn't do much at all last year. But still, it feels omnipresent, regardless.
I remember Mono Yellow did surprisingly well in the B2B Continentals.
Oh yeah, wasn't that Max, or am I confused?
It was.
It was Sketchbeam.
No, I thought it was husband of Blue Fairy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the first year that Continentals was at Cider Fest. You're right. That was Blue Fairy's
I mean, I could.
husband, who was running mono yellow deck, did really
Okay,
well.
yeah.
Had a Vapor Trail, I think.
But I didn't.
Didn't it also play Novo?
You did.
I don't
If it
know if
did,
it
I
did
don't
that
remember the
time,
Novo.
but I have
Okay.
played against him with Mono Yellow Novo before, and it was really annoying. Because I'd put Troublemakers down, and he'd put Novo down. I'm like, no!
I was agonizing.
Novo is especially funny now with your new overlords.
Oh yeah, that's an easy farm.
For Novo. It's like, oh, darn, I'm flipping 0. Good thing I don't actually want to be up in power.
I tried Novo Friend Farm once, and it got napcakes immediately.
I would nap cakes Novo immediately. if you're bothering to play Novo, your deck is built around it, and I don't want you having it.
Technically, you're winning right now.
Yeah, for sure. It's like you don't even need to know anything else about the deck. If Novo's in, she's got to go.
Go, guys. Go ahead.
I miss nap cakes. Those were the days. Back when you could just win by being rude to everyone all the time.
I miss playing nap cakes. I don't miss having nap cakes played against me.
Man.
Yeah, I got to play Napcakes with a Twilight Sparkle Premier farm.
Yes, I believe it is 4.
So we looks like we got some double trouble. Grogar, Father of Monsters at Buckball, and Nightmare Moon at Lacking Lesson Plans.
And an early Nightmare Moon is quite a hit at the beginning.
Yeah, this is actually pretty interesting because so Feathers chose not to frighten the tokens, but that's because she's definitely going to want to farm at her buckball strategy so that she can confront afterwards. And that means that she wants to not have Nightmare Moon at that problem because she wants to keep it around and enforce this low home limit. So she's making this trade-off. She's not going to do Frightens. She's not going to attack Paige's board so that she can attack Paige's hand for longer.
And she also knows that she has enough face-off tricks, double or extra flip cards. That way, that Nightmare Moon has extra protection from those extra because she'll flip higher.
Yeah, she's fearless here. I definitely wouldn't be too worried about Paige's actually farming this. Oh lord. Okay, maybe yes. Maybe there is going to be a farm here.
I don't remember what it is.
She's stubborn. I exhausted.
Hasty Friends of the Family.
Characters around. Let's pick one.
That's fine.
That
What is it?
Luna
That's the one that
Midnight.
probably matters the most.
So that's pretty much all.
Not hugely relevant card, except for the fact that she's 5 and she's gonna beat up her pre-reformed villainy self. What good?
I gotta put it.
In another match, Pancake has come back to tie it up 1-1 against Instagram.
Use my alicorn. Please respond.
This is such a hard choice.
Oh, come on, make me Catajack, please. I want this so bad.
Let's say he has to pick first. He has picked, so now it is Feathers' turn to pick.
Now, the downside for Feathers is if she picks Catajack, then she's getting rid of the Grogar, and she doesn't get to farm it next turn, which is a bummer. But, I mean, it's so gorgeous to just get rid of everything.
I don't know.
I'm wondering if you do play the Catajack, it might
This could either
be
Trade offer.
this could be really amazing.
it is an interesting idea to actually get rid of the Nightmare Moon because he's gonna obviously keep the Midnight in play.
Yeah, I agree, actually, thinking about it. Like, you've forced Pages to make a big commitment to fight your Nightmare Moon. Maybe just give up on it. Maybe say, hey, I'm not protecting this thing. You can have your 1 point.
And it's a Lacking Lesson Plans, so...
We have
Yeah, you're really only protecting it for the hand limit thing, which,
5 cards.
you know. Oh, we just saw it.
Catajack,
5 cards in
Catajack,
hand.
Catajack.
It's nothing. Get rid of this Nightmare Moon. Play
Yeah.
the Catajack. Destroy the whole board. It's gonna be amazing. You're gonna love it.
I know she's thinking about it. She wants to do it.
She wants this almost as bad as we want this.
She's
Well, I mean, Luna
she's been in
will
this situation
survive.
before.
I guess I'll see if you have any immediate dismissal.
Goes
Alright.
with Staff.
Steph is still good. It's just less chaotic. And the chaos would have been a lot of fun.
It could be.
Well, secretly, we just want to watch the world burn. Feathers might just be going for the win.
Alright, well,
This was
So,
hard. So many
so a lot of interesting things just happened. Pages was able to get rid of the Staff of Sakanis, but additionally chose not to fight the Nightmare Moon, and he just went to the score phase. That surprises me quite a bit, actually.
Alright, well,
All I can think is maybe he doesn't have a lot of cards in hand, and
I am
It looks like he only has 3 at the moment, so
with my
Yeah, since he used the mysterious disappearance, he called his whole hand almost, so the hand limit isn't an issue, but it's just free points to, pick up that farm.
You're at a 7.
well, it'll probably be their next turn because it
Yeah, for
keeps
sure.
Feathers from double confronting if she decides to go that route.
sure. I mean,
looks like she's down by 4 in this face-off against Grogar, but she has double flip
or I could flip a 2.
cards in her hand, so
Spend stuff.
Dang,
I
those are.
can't see that. Oh, big
Yeah, she's
hoof,
actually
definitely.
flipped 5 across 2 cards, which is really, really low for her deck.
Flipping Big Hoof, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
I cannot.
Wow, a disappointing turn of events for Feathers.
Well, that's really gonna hurt now because that Midnight's gonna tax the movement back up, so that would remove her all of her AT.
I have no points, so.
And it looks like we have another series of games finished. Big Cheese at 2 wins to Bugles 1, so Big Cheese will advance to the top 4.
That means that the winner of the match that we're watching here will get the honor of fighting Big Cheese in the semifinals.
Congratulations to Big Cheese. We need a little music bump before we announce a result, like on television.
I have a few ideas that Ara would get very mad at me for putting into our stream.
We could just do Yak. We could just do Yak song.
Yeah, but it has to be the version of the guys screaming at the top of their lungs at Cider Fest.
This is so hard.
Yeah, Feathers is kind of caught thinking a lot here, which I understand because she's actually out in a really rough position here. The Staff of Sakanis would have been really good. It would have let her farm that Grogar, and it would have, allowed her to fight back. But here, it's really tough because if you anything, Luna Midnight's gonna be able to punish you for it.
Karma exists. I will.
Yeah. And he's also in a pretty good spot to farm this Nightmare Moon should he want to,
I cannot
even if she has
because
tricks.
I don't know what cards
Let's
are.
dig it.
Oh, you're gonna fight Nightmare Moon?
Yeah.
1 second.
I think I just heard her call Captain Solano cilantro. I'm glad I'm not the only one who does that, if that is in fact
Oh,
what she
that's
said.
great. That's never even occurred to me,
You're at 16.
Yep.
and I love it.
I'm thinking.
Well, after flipping 5 in 2 cards, Feathers has gone on to flip something like 10 in 1 card.
She's still down by 2 though, but she does have that Melted Expectations, which she is going to play.
All right. I mean, it's not great. It just buys her time, but
It turns
You know,
off
if
Luna
she-
attacks.
yeah, just for now though. But she doesn't have any immediate movement,
Oh,
so it's unlikely
yeah, that's
to help.
right. It's Paige's turn.
Are we at 4 actions a turn? Because if we are, then Feathers could use this bot time to play a Catajack. But if we aren't, then it doesn't help much.
Sadly, we are not. We are still at the 3.
Yikes. Okay.
And now he has a changeling throne. The attrition is happening.
Yeah, he's really been able to build up a bigger board. And I must say, Luna Midnight has been a big part of that. Mostly only because she has 5 strength, but still, that tax is starting to become relevant, and the longer she's out, the more relevant it will be.
And she has a staff, so that's helpful.
Yeah, honestly, the fact that Luna is stubborn is really nice here. Because Feathers was able to exhaust her and would typically follow that up by just staffing her. Make her frightened, make her go away. But Luna's stubborn, so that's not actually guaranteed to work here.
I think I just need to let you score points until I can get more AT.
Yeah, and Feathers opts to not take that risk. I think that's reasonable. Now, the problem here is that at this point, Feathers has taken 2 turns that were relatively past turnish. And she's leaving these troublemakers out on the board to get farmed, and the risk goes up that catastrophic things are gonna happen to these troublemakers. So right now, Pages hasn't been scoring that much, but if he can farm one or both of these troublemakers here, that would make all the difference. And what I would think, personally, is that Feathers should probably be using the one Grogar she has to do some reshuffling of her troublemakers. Get the Grogar away, and then, if you had done it early enough, use the Grogar to banish your Nightmare Moon and just get these troublemakers off of the board.
Yeah.
You know what I do? I banish the Grogar for a face down, and then I play the Catajack.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good call. But Feathers has to actually have enough actions to play the Catajack.
She will next turn, because she banked
The,
last turn.
but the paid the extra for another melted, so another failed farm attempt. But
Yeah, but it's a whole turn's worth of actions from Feathers, so it's pretty tough.
yeah, and because it's lacking, he can still confront through it. So
Yeah, this holding pattern is very advantageous for Pages. And Feathers even said she needs to just, kind of lay off and let Pages score until she can build her own board. But then she just seems to not be able to resist defending her troublemakers, even though
yeah.
in the long run they're probably in trouble anyway.
Well, Pages at 6 points. We're now at the gaining 4 actions, which means that she does have the ability to play the Catajack if she wants to.
Very interestingly, she may be taking Animoy's advice here and preparing for that Catajack play by getting rid of one troublemaker.
Yep, and that was a Winterzilla she put down, so she's targeting that throne.
It's less great when there's a bodyguard out there now, though.
Yeah, having done it even just one turn earlier, if she had had 4 actions a turn last turn, things would have looked good. But unfortunately, Pages was only at 5 points.
Of course, bodyguard's only gonna create 2 tokens if Luna's the one that chooses not to retire.
That's true. Bodyguards is not going to give any value for the 2 seashell tokens that would go away with the Catajack play.
I almost think the Nightmare Moon is hurting Feathers more right now.
Just in the fact that it's been a liability that to keep protecting, I think so.
But I mean, she can't even move the friends and characters there home because she can't confront lacking lesson plans.
Not without a staff.
Oh, yeah.
No. There is an Apple Bloom friend in her hand, so.
Well, I mean, there's an epic blocking it, blocking her only.
Yeah, Pages can confront, but Feathers can't.
It's rough, man.
It's a bit of a problem here.
It's rough. Just had such a weird card order.
wonder what she's gonna end up deciding. She's been looking at that staff for a couple turns now.
Yeah, the staff is certainly very good here. Obviously, there's the worry that it just gets removed again, but that's no reason not to try it.
I mean,
The
it's
issue is that it's hard to actually beat midnight.
I don't know how else.
and it's better now, but when Princess Twilight comes out, staff is much weaker.
That's true. So you might as well take the momentum while you have the option, because
I was like,
oof.
Oh, he has another one. Oh, and he gets Icing and Luna into the discard.
Oh.
Well, like we said before, that's why it's a 3-game match. Because sometimes one player has good luck and sometimes they have bad luck.
Pages
The
has
pendulum
good luck
swings.
with the mysterious disappearances so far, though. He's pulled a lot of those.
agonizing.
Well, after last game, losing his pinky sense.
Yeah, he's found so many that they even hurt him.
No.
Yeah, maybe he has like 5 in this deck.
No, we're not having another 5 singing barrels situation again.
As soon as you went to flip another card, I closed my eyes.
It's gonna be the one that I draw, so
Yeah.
that's it.
Okay. So did I win?
Yeah.
Okay.
It
Okay.
was,
I
it was
didn't.
a 4.
I stopped looking.
It was
Looks
a
like
4.
Yeah. Okay. Score 2 points.
I've had a rough go this time.
Okay, so the Nightmare Moon has been successfully farmed.
It has finally fallen, and now Paige's board is actually, besides Grogar being moved, identical to when she started the game. So that doesn't feel great.
You mean feathers?
I do mean feathers.
It's the plural.
You would have been really lost in that game where they suddenly switched decks and didn't tell anyone.
Oh
A
my
few-
lord.
A few years ago,
It's reversed.
they just were at the beginning of the tournament. They just decided that they were gonna play each other's decks without telling anyone. And it took them, I think, 15 minutes before they figured out that it was the other way around. That Pages was playing the farm deck and Feathers was playing the control deck.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, that would have destroyed my brain.
Well, it also didn't help that they were using identical playmats. The playmat Pages is using is actually artwork done by Feathers. So they were both using that. They both had
Wow.
Love Live sleeves.
That's amazing. That's actually just such a good
Sad.
prank.
Yeah, the only way you would have known otherwise would be based on the characters on the Love Live sleeves,
I get just discard a card.
or just like various details,
The Alicorn.
difference in physical appearance.
We'll see.
But we're not looking at that, we're looking at the cards.
Main phase. Draw a card.
And this time, Feathers used Winterzilla against the Throne.
Draw a card.
Yeah, I definitely like that decision here. I mean, Pinky Sense is nice, but okay, well, it no longer matters. But the Pinky Sense as a discard tool is not really relevant because Paige's discard is just so incredibly full. So, the Pinky Sense is not that meaningful here anymore, whereas the Throne maybe soon is going to start to be used for point acceleration. So it's just a very meaningful card.
Well, now Throne is there again. Not sure what's going on.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
he just had
He
another.
he played another one.
Oh, okay, we just can't see his banish pile? Or dismiss. Oh, it's a dismiss.
Now the Catajack comes down. No, you have to resolve first. You played it.
She's being very magnanimous and allowing her opponent to resolve first.
Even put these.
I mean, I guess it doesn't matter as much here because it's just the
just-
troublemakers that need to be resolved on her side, but
Yeah, it's not a big deal, but
I mean,
not quite correct.
This choice first and then get my.
This is these two things are like irrelevant.
Alright.
Yeah, he's
Kill the Winterzilla.
Yeah, that's definitely the less important one here.
Yeah, that's definitely the one you go for.
And that's the one that gets retired.
All right, and Pages makes the same decision that it looked like he was gonna make anyway.
I'm having stomach problems, I guess.
Yeah. But it is nice to have the correct information present before you make the decision.
May I confront
He is certainly entitled to that information. Now, the nice thing about the prepared token at the Chrysalis is that Catajack, you know, it's already a risk to try to farm Chrysalis with Catajack because it's 7 to 5, but with the prepared token, it's just very unlikely to be worth it.
He's using the throne to pay for a point.
Yeah, he has. If you have the extra AT and you're in such an advantageous position, just advance yourself closer.
Yep, this is the part where you're in a good position and you just need to turn that into points.
Yeah, it looks like Pages has 11 points.
I was like, I can get AJ for free, but you didn't have enough cards that would be worth it.
Yeah.
So I was like, and then it was either AJ or Staff, and you either had the dismissal or you didn't.
Yeah.
That was my agonizing decision.
Because it was the counter. Because it was the counter. No, it wasn't the counter. We built We built the original.
So many options for reanimation in his discard pile right now.
Probably the Twilight, just because it's amazing. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. He already has a Midnight, and Icing doesn't really seem as useful now.
Considering he's about to frighten the Catajack and farm the Troublemaker, yeah, there's no real reason to need the Icing.
Other than the fact that scary Kaiju Pinky.
He did not exhaust the Luna for the Frighten.
Well, that seems like an oversight type of deal.
Yeah, that was more likely
This match has been like.
Well, Twilight is leaving. That's pretty good for Feathers. I doubt it's gonna be enough to turn things around, but it's pretty good.
How did Twilight leave?
I'll fight Chrysalis.
Winterzilla, because Twilight came in with a +1.
Ah, yes.
And Pages did not have enough actions to protect her.
Yeah, that was a good early Winterzilla before the +1 even came down.
Flipping flipped a bodyguard against the Chrysalis, so that's an easy farm for her there.
Yeah, and that works out so well because the Diligent allows her to confront.
Wow, I'm double confronting.
So now she gets a double, but it does give Pages 2 more actions for next turn, which is pretty good.
I assume Pages got his 1 AT from the Queen Chrysalis farming.
I think so.
Yeah,
looks like he's up to 2. Is his score 11 right now?
His score is actually 13.
Well, I mean, it's a good turn for Feathers, but Pages coming into a 13.9 action turn next turn, I think he's going to win.
Yeah, but sometimes you're like, I'm just gonna make some plays. I'm gonna have fun here.
Yeah, for sure. It's the best thing you've got, and it makes the game a lot closer, which, you know, doesn't really matter, but it's fun, and it is also good for morale, just to not feel like you got destroyed.
I get to draw a card if I have.
Well, the tables were turned last game, so.
You don't have the biggest dude.
I don't have the biggest dude.
The question is, what will game 3 look like?
Feathers deck seems pretty consistent. Both of these games have turned on how good Page's luck is.
Okay, quarter 9.
I don't know that they have a lot of time left.
The 14.
That was such a hard choice. I'm just upset.
I think it's around half an hour.
Have a chance. Oh well.
There is a little over half an hour left if I'm remembering the time length correctly. I should know the
I think
time
yeah, I think it was
for that.
2 hours. I think we started kind of on time, hour and a half ago. So
Yeah, so it's a little shorter than their games have been on average here. So it is certainly possible that it could end up going to time, but it seems like we'll still get a pretty full game out of it.
Okay, let's see. Shocker.
well, we picked a good match because I'm guessing we'll get a third game in this series.
No.
Sorry.
Yep, unless Pages kind of confusingly concedes right here.
Oh. Well, what was I at? 5?
You were at 5. You were at 5.
I'm just gonna drag this out as long as
It sounds like Pages just realized he forgot to frighten Applejack.
Yeah, this is actually his second turn of having forgotten to frighten Applejack.
Go ahead.
Okay. What do I get? 5?
You have to 8.
All right, there is yet another turn to this game, which, I mean, is good for Feathers because it's going to put more of a time limit on the next game.
Maybe Pages is trying to keep the game going by giving her a chance to score points, eating up time.
It is and I just double checked. It is a 2-hour hard time on the round.
He's been here for ages.
So they will have roughly 30 minutes if the game ended right now for game 3.
This is
So we've gotten results from 2 of the other 3 games. I'm honestly struggling to believe that Pancake and Instagram have not finished a third game. I bet that match has also concluded and we just haven't heard about it.
If that is still going on, then I have several questions because both of those decks are lightning fast.
Everybody does.
Wow, they're still playing. They're about to finish, but somehow the fast farm versus the hyper fast aggro ended later than the reanimator versus control match.
Anything else?
My only guess is that Pancake took the control route in that game or in that matchup.
One liability of the Stunning Wonder is if no problem face-offs ever occur, she goes pretty slowly. So maybe Pancake tried something like that. He has enough troublemakers.
Keep 3?
Well done.
Alright, keep 3.
That was.
Well,
That will
Feathers
be the
got up to
concession.
around 9 points or so, so, you know, not too bad.
The struggles.
Feathers tried to dig a little bit for something, but just kept getting troublemakers.
How much time we have left?
And we just got results that Instagram will take the round against Pancake, so that's Stunning Wonder Blue
Okay, that shows the
advancing to the top 4.
Well, Pancake was thinking that he might have to be the one to take out Bugle. I mean, I'm sure he didn't say it in much seriousness, but in a pretty surprising outcome here, neither Pancake nor Bugle are advancing past the first cut.
Now they can
Congratulations
go
to
have a
Instagram.
consolations game. Yeah, congrats to
Yeah.
Instagram.
Very cool. Folks may not have heard this because they probably left by the time I was spitting my hot takes, but Instagram was the one I'm hoping to win the whole darn thing. So far my plan is
That's
going
right.
perfectly.
Play trollmakers. The end of phase.
I think that he just dilemmas.
I mean, he's got a few that I saw, but.
So what we know is that whoever wins this match will be up against Big Cheese playing Control, and then the other match has been decided, which will be Instagram versus Smithers. Worth noting, we actually saw that match on stream earlier today, and Instagram took it.
Instagram got 8 points in a single turn?
That's huge, probably the largest that has been seen in this tournament so far. We saw 7 earlier.
24 cards in there, right?
but that is reminiscent of what the old version of Growing
Yeah.
Confidence was able to do.
I need to get rid of a friend who's taking up space right here. I had 2 in my hand like that whole game, and I just could not justify spending 3 to play it. So.
Hold on, wait, did you mulligan already?
I just did now.
Before? You can't. I don't think you can sideboard after a mulligan.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Well, I'll put it back in. That's fine.
I was still listening while I was away, but
Yeah.
I can hear it.
Do you have anyone you're rooting for to win the whole tournament?
I'll take any yellow-blue,
All right.
honestly.
Well,
But
we know one is going to the finals because it's a yellow-blue fight in the semis.
but considering I want Ara to squirm, I want Thorax to win.
All right, so you're rooting for Smithers and I'm rooting for Instagram in that game there. We've got drama. Though honestly, we might not see that match because I could foresee the other one being a little more interesting and something that hasn't already been on stream.
That's true.
You ready?
But enough about all that. We've got a third game here.
All right.
Pancake, congratulations on making it to the top 8. Thank you.
The question is, how is Feathers going to start here?
Yes.
It's a
We've
very
seen
similar
both
hand.
starts.
I need to put his +1 counter back. Confront for 1.
Yeah, almost identical hand to her first game.
Well, the first one went pretty well, but at least by my hypothesis, Feather's hand is going to be less relevant to the outcome of this game than Paige's hand.
And Pages likes to hide his hand.
He's keeping us all in suspense.
He wants to save the big plays.
I can see icing. One of the least important cards in this matchup.
And if you see icing, then you already know the rest of his cards are icing, because everything is icing.
Everything is icing.
We're icing.
Was real rough. It'll be a fun watch, though.
Feathers is planning to rewatch this stream, so hello, future Feathers. I hope you're doing well.
We'll be okay.
We actually don't know how this will end right now.
You do, and you're either elated or distraught at this part of the stream.
It was literally a case of, once again, all I have to do is make it to my next turn. This is drawing 22 cards all over again.
What exactly happened? I want to play by play.
What? The whole game? No.
All right, well, it looks like Prism Light is rooting for Feathers at the moment.
Prism Light.
Everybody's got a horse in the race.
Yeah, Prism Light had said before that he wants the farmers to win.
Yeah, Prism Light is definitely a big Grogar player, so certainly I understand why he would be rooting for
And
that.
generally a fan of the orange.
Yeah, he was playing Big Orange, for many years. It's been one of his go-to styles. There are 92 horses in this 8-horse race. At least according to Ara, and he's the judge, so it's probably true.
No, I don't.
Alright, 3 to 6.
Technically could have scored 8 points, but I only needed 7.
3, 4. So after this card half my hand.
What about sideboards in that math? Since you say 45 cards plus a main for each player. Also
Yeah.
problem decks.
That sounds like he's just going up and down the hall and finding people to play and putting them in the top 8.
That would be great. That would be so chaotic. And I mean, from what it sounds like, that's not too far away from what happened to Feathers here. She was just like, you know what? I'm gonna play in the top 8 today. Somebody give me a deck.
Okay.
And she's got credible odds to win this match here and actually go to top 4.
Purple.
Feathers being the dedicated Orange Farm player, it would actually be kind of amazing if, as her comeback tournament, ended up going all the way with an Orange Farm deck.
Yeah, I mean, Orange Farm has not won a Continentals tournament in, yeah, many, many, many years. Holy moly. So, Pages has just entered into 3
All I
colors
care about is a
It's
and
Ember.
is hard playing not just any tricolor, but one of the most uncommon tricolors in the whole game.
We can all go home happy now. Someone played Ember on stream in the top cut of Continental.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, much less than on stream. This might be the first time that anyone has actually paid to play Ember in a competitive tournament, like ever.
so it doesn't have to be involved in a face-off.
No. Just saying, okay, we're done.
Like, I could see her getting cheated in, but hard entered? This is madness.
Go on, go.
I mean,
I'm out for quick.
way back a long, long time ago, we were talking about how Ember might be the second best tricolor that Pages has, but we've barely seen her. Probably that's because Pages only has 1 or 2 of them versus likely 3 of all the others. But this game, starting with that, it's pretty cool. I mean, he had to bank like 4 turns worth of actions in order to play it, but it's going to be pretty meaningful to be able to shut off that many different face-offs.
So here's what Ember does. Your friends involved in face-offs can't be dismissed or frightened. Not sure that helps. Then at the end of a face-off, if you didn't lose that face-off, distribute 2 power counters among up to 2 of your friends. And immediate, exhaust this card to end a face-off. This card does not ready during its controller's next ready phase.
Does it just immediately come into play? Yes, it does.
One of the nice things about that is it's pretty challenging to get rid of Ember with Staff of Sakanas. I mean, it's not necessarily that hard, but you can't really do it against against a ready Ember because she can just void the face off if she's going to lose it. And then additionally, if you've used Ember and she's exhausted, and your opponent, Feathers here, decides to use Staff of Sakanas to frighten the Ember now that she's vulnerable, like that actually saves you time because now you don't have to wait for the Ember to ready. You can just pay to rally her
Yes.
instead. So, honestly, not so bad against Staff of Sakanas.
I'm going to enter the score phase
Sure.
and bank 4.
You got 3 now? Okay, my turn.
Yeah.
Feathers is choosing to save actions, which is pretty reasonable here because, you know, in the last game, it would have been really nice to have just some big turns where she could throw a million actions around. So, just building up the war chest for now. Also, she's got a big
No.
hoof down. That
No.
big hoof. Oh, yeah, go for it
Oh,
anyway.
and a Melted Expectations in hand.
Gonna fight Nightmare Moon?
Oh, that's pretty good. That's what she used the whole of last game to defend her Nightmare Moon. She used 2 Melted Expectations to defend Nightmare Moon.
Oh no, big hoofs in discard.
I'm such a disaster.
Cool.
Ah, so they were actually tied and flipped again, which
Nice try, though.
is a pretty good outcome for Pages.
That
But,
was made.
you know, Feathers has a higher flip average, so once you start flipping again from being tied, Feathers is very likely to win it.
Try a card.
And Pages sends a Sea Pony token home. Shooby-doo.
Shooby doo.
Can I read this? Is this just acting as?
It's just purple.
It's just.
My dude is also purple.
Oh, okay. And then this one is the put a card on top of your.
Yes. Either I can discard it, or whenever I discard a card, I can instead put on top.
Okay.
Well, having successfully defended that Nightmare Moon, I feel like Feathers is in a pretty good position. Now, I'm not sure whose turn it is at this point. It seems like
You have 2 ET left.
I got two.
it seems like maybe Pages has not finished his turn since fighting this troublemaker, and he's just trying to figure out how to respond to the issue.
Yeah, he is currently he's currently thinking. It looks like he just moved to score phase and confronted.
Gain
Discarded
yeah.
a golden parachute and everything is icing.
card.
Yep. So he was not able to beat the Nightmare Moon, so he's got to do the discarding.
Still has the 4-card hand limit.
I'm actually a little surprised that Parachute is even in his deck, but it is good against Catajack, so that's probably reason enough. Actually, with a Parachute, he gets to save 2 things with Catajack, and he's honestly unlikely to have more than 2 really big cards in play at once, so Catajack is no longer very effective.
Sorry, I need to read this again.
Not until he starts getting more things on board anyway.
Looks like we have approximately 25 minutes left in the 2-hour.
Well, score is close right now, so that time limit is not favoring anyone in particular just yet. I believe Feathers is coming into this turn with 7 actions because she was frugal last turn.
I'm going to pay 2 to play.
So hopefully this is going to be a big turn on her part. She's just waiting for that disappearance. Oh,
Oh, we're just gonna
life is
call
pain.
Pages Mr. Disappearance.
For a second, we thought maybe he wouldn't have it this time.
The one consolation is his hand size is 4, and he had to discard 3 cards to make that happen.
And she has another staff.
Oh,
Yeah, but-
well,
I will.
that's pretty good. We know that he can't do another disappearance this turn.
Okay. My turn?
Yep.
2 to 5.
Okay, so she didn't decide to play it. I'm wondering if maybe she's looking for some type of big 1-2 punch where she uses the Staff of Sakanas to do something very specific, and she's not willing to let it stay on the board and be a risk.
Or maybe she just wants to play Melted Expectations.
Right, maybe she was hoping to use Staff in conjunction with Melted Expectations to, like, take out Page's board. Maybe hit Ember specifically. One thing I'm realizing is we have not seen Pages play that Apple Bloom character any time she's been on stream today. Now, right now she's been saving a lot of action, so she may be able to actually afford the Apple Bloom soon.
There she is.
Apple Bloom, if it's the, I think it's the event Apple Bloom, right?
Yeah, the talented one. So that Apple Bloom is pretty solid here. I mean, if you use her to exhaust Ember for 2 turns, like, that's really snazzy.
Stream not moving.
Yes, I'm in the same boat. I'm not seeing anything.
Perhaps it's another fire alarm.
It's just probably just a connection hiccup.
Well, while we were talking about Feather's potential plans, we actually breezed through an entire turn of pages because uh, it looks like all he did was bank and confront once because Feathers went back up to 8 actions, I believe. So that's interesting. I'm a little surprised that that Pages didn't decide to mobilize against the Nightmare Moon, but I also totally understand that he doesn't have a lot of options right now since he had 2 cards in his hand, and he's confronting. So, don't push it. Just build up your war chest a little bit. Prism Light is pointing out that Feathers did not use the Winterzilla. I believe she just made the choice that it wasn't worth it. When the Winterzilla flipped, I do remember she specifically asked about what both of the resources did and seemed a little disappointed.
Oh
So
yeah,
I think
she asked about the motivational.
I think she might have just decided it wasn't worth the one action to get rid of either of them, which I understand. Like, Pinky Sense is good, but it's, you know, when when Jizz already has really good cards in his discard, like the Pinky Sense is just a lot less of a big impact play.
We are told the hotel has decided to reset the Wi-Fi, and they should have it back up shortly.
Well, now we have to try to predict what's going to happen so that when we get zapped back into the game, like one turn ahead of time, we're all caught up.
I hope that when it comes back, Feathers will have like 4 friends, one of which is Catajack. Pages will have nothing except one completely different resource.
Yeah, the entire board got wiped.
I just want everything to be completely different than it was before.
Totally indecipherable. Whereas what's probably going to happen is we're going to come back and, like, it's still Feather's turn and she's just been thinking.
Given the amount of time that's left, there's only so much thinking that you can do before your opponent starts thinking themselves, all right, come on.
Yeah, that's true. Time is of the essence here. There are only maybe 15 minutes left.
Yeah, I think we have about 18 minutes left.
Well, Feathers
We're back.
was... Oh, fantastic. I will hop back on then.
Let me get audio. There we go.
I'll pay 1 to draw 1.
Feathers pays 1 to draws another Catajack.
That's the universe telling you to play Catajack.
May I confront the problem?
All right, so it was my more humorous suggestion that it was still Feather's turn. I understand that. She has so many actions. She's got a lot of options. But I guess, her hand was not quite what she's hoping for to actually use those options. Paying to draw is one of those decisions where you have to do a lot of math. Because, like, if it was worth it to pay to draw the first time, then, like, is it worth it to pay to draw a second time? And what about a third time? Like, you have to know when it's worth it and when to stop. So it can be a little complex.
Pages uses Throne for a point.
Yeah,
And
I can
drops the
see.
bodyguard.
I can definitely see that Pages is turning into full-on point scoring mode. I mean, this is a rush. He's got a pretty nice position. He needs to push it.
Okay.
So, go ahead.
Can't quite tell how many points Feathers has.
Gaining 4.
Yep.
This is our life now.
I want to say that's a 7 on her scorecard.
Well, that would put the game as a tie.
And 10 actions is a lot of actions.
Yeah, she has been really pointedly banking.
At least you're rich and
She is waiting to do something big. Now, she's got the Catajacks, but the Catajacks are like
Play events, right?
downright not
During
very
face-offs.
good right
play
now.
cards during face
During face-offs. I'm going
So
to
I'm wondering if she's going to use that Apple Bloom. Honestly, I'm not convinced that it would be great, but
play Melted X.
there's an option there.
I will exhaust Ember and I will disable bodyguard.
Okay.
That is the
Go-
type of play you like to
Hmm.
see.
Yeah, goes for the melted, exhausting ember, turning off bodyguard, and
That-
it looks like we're gonna see a Catajack.
That basically breaks Paige's whole board by doing that.
She slams it onto the table.
Yeah.
Now, the issue is how little it does. Now, it gets rid of a lot of resources, but mostly they're entry resources. And then Pages still has the option to retain both Ember and Bodyguards, which are the two friends that he has that aren't tokens.
If he remembers that they're in his discard,
That's true.
which he did not appear to remember in his discard because he already put bodyguard away.
Yeah, I would say that it's a tactical decision, but since Captain Jack is the only card in that deck that can trigger Parachute, I think that was just a miss.
Having missed several golden parachutes in my own games, I completely understand. You put them in the discard early on, a lot of things change, and you're just like, oh, crap, that was
It-
there.
It is one of those cards where it's just like you just need something to remind you because yeah, it just runs away from you. It hides behind other discarded cards. And like, I know some people have like a mnemonic where in order to remember their meticulous triggers, they put something on top of their draw deck. We need something like that for Parachute. Like just put something on maybe just like a little parachute mini that you put on your discard pile.
Well, you are, as long as it's easy to tell what is and isn't your discard, there's nothing against the rules saying you can't, like, separate them
Oh.
slightly.
Yeah, or even just have it sticking out a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, you want to make sure when you do that your opponent fully understands what is in your discard pile, what is not, what is banished, what is not. Because the second that turns into misrepresenting information, it's an issue.
Right, that's a good point. Now, one thing is the discard pile is an orderless pile. So if you're really committed, you can just keep moving it to the top if you want to. There's nothing stopping you.
That is also true.
Well, I mean, I'll draw.
But let's be honest, no one here is going to do that.
In my more desperate times, I have actually discarded a parachute and then reordered the pile to not put parachute on top, hoping my opponent forgets.
Yeah, that's what I hide it from my opponent and myself.
I will pay 2.
So no one remembers it's there.
Yeah, it's great until it
Twice,
backfires.
twice as good that way.
Makes sense.
I will flip this card.
Makes sense.
Okay, we have a Grogar at Grogar and a Catajack at Nightmare Moon. Both of which are definitely winnable face-offs for Feathers.
Yeah, for sure. Especially considering how much drawing she's been doing. I bet she has a good deal of face-off tricks.
Fight.
Is it time?
I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna fight Grogar first.
I think we have about 12 minutes left.
Stop punching yourself.
It's enough time for either of these players to build up a lead, but probably not enough time to get to 15.
I'm at 12.
Feathers is down by 1 here. She will need a trick, but any trick will do it.
I will banish Big Hoof. Yes. I win.
She loses the trigger to
Oh.
flip an extra card.
Yeah, she was
because
about
there's
to
no
flip
chaos,
a chaos.
But she didn't need it.
I-
She was still up by 4.
I would have flipped it too.
With Applejack.
You get so used to, like, oh, I flipped power play. Oh, wait, nope. Power play has no text right now.
Nothing stops chaos. It comes first.
Yeah.
I think
Those negative effects that turn off things can also be hard to remember.
Those are 2 beat-up troublemakers.
That's a
And-
really good turn for Feathers.
And the diligent counter.
Oh, we saw that last time, where the Diligent is just what she needs to confront. All right, I just, like, a minute ago said we might not see anyone get to 15, but I didn't think that was going to happen. We might see Feathers get to 15.
I can't tell. She
Something
might be
was just
down.
found very funny.
She's either down 1,
Discard pile.
or there's something that the 2 of them just realized about their game that we haven't picked up on yet.
They found something hilarious, that is for sure.
How many points do you have?
I have 9.
9. And you have 2 AT.
I have 2 AT.
How many cards?
3.
3.
Well, we are also getting a lot of good number information there.
We don't.
Had Pages done the golden parachutes, do you think it would have made much of a difference here?
At the current moment, I think it would not be any different. I mean, we're still in that same turn, so the bodyguard would just be like hanging out, not doing anything at this point.
I know, but I only have 5 cards.
However, shouldn't there be 1 token in play?
No,
I
bodyguard
believe
was turned
bodyguard
off.
was yeah.
Oh, of course. Of course, yes. Melted Expectations, very nice card. Yeah, so, I mean, Pages would have the bodyguard for next turn, which is kind of nice. I mean, it is white entry, which he doesn't have anywhere else, but that's
More than
pretty low meaning in the scheme of things at this point.
Sadly,
score phase.
I don't know if there's anything that Pages currently has in his hand that will help him here.
Problem face off.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
I think I win.
so he's gonna be able to double next turn, probably,
It's about
but
7 minutes left.
Face off.
But that, yeah, it's not going to be enough for him to win the game. Oh, he has to
Especially
pay
not-
for Emperor to rally, or
Yeah,
to ready.
it's especially not going to be easy with that problem being there.
It's so crazy that Feathers plays Under the Weather and not as her first card. It is a starting problem, and everybody uses it like that, but, you know, it's great to just show up as a nasty surprise in the mid-game. I think this is the first time we've seen it.
Yeah.
Are you referring to the Under the Weather?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because she's mono orange, you know, but she wants those early confronts with the Buckball and the unboosted main.
Cards in hand?
Yeah, starting Buckball with Grogar is just too good to pass up, but that Under the Weather is so strong.
Yeah, like, even if you don't want it to start, for sure you're going to put 2 into your deck. It's great at every point in the game.
Now if she has an opportunity, well, may not matter now, but if the game was to go on longer, playing the Apple Bloom with that problem is so evil.
Why is that
everything just stays exhausted, and your opponent
Yeah.
has to pay to
Yeah,
ready them.
that happened to me against Big Cheese in a recent online con.
Yeah, Cheese at that online con was playing kind of a control farm deck based almost explicitly around that mechanism, and it worked pretty darn well.
I wanted to use my Daisy Lily and Rose luck, but it was exhausted.
Yeah. Yeah, he
I
beat me
mean,
with that one too.
they spent so much time being about their flowers being wrong that they were too exhausted to help.
It can be very tiresome being afraid all the time.
It's downright Shakespearean.
Game phase. Draw a card. Wait, I didn't even.
Okay, wait a second. I
Well, draw your cards.
I didn't notice this, but Feathers also has a chibi pony holding a knife. Has she had this the whole time? This
Uh,
chrysalis on her lanyard?
I don't know if it's Chrysalis, but yes, that has been there the whole time. I believe that. I don't know if that's her artwork or not. I wouldn't be surprised if it was.
Wow, I mean, I've been just so terrified by the presence of two of these that I can't believe that a third one has been staring me down the whole time and I haven't even noticed.
We have received confirmation it is Queen Chrysalis, and it is not her art. But it is good art, nonetheless.
How big is Applejack?
She's at 7.
I think we have about 4 minutes left.
Paige's problem there, let the rainbow remind you, is so perfect for the tricorns. It's an 8 coster, but it's one less per color among your characters. So for these 5 strength, 3 color characters, it's just that card is the only one you need to confront.
I find a pink friend.
Oh, you're searching for Pinkie Pie?
Search quickly, pages.
Probably this.
I'm guessing royal family. Yeah. What is he actually going to put down? Maybe the midnight? That's just slow Feathers down a bit
Oh, it's
because
got a.
everything's at home.
Oh yeah, doesn't have to be a pink friend. Or
Well,
does it? No, it does have to be a
it
pink
does.
friend.
So he pulled the royal family, and I think he's going to use that to cheat in a midnight.
Okay.
That's my guess.
Shuffle Applejack into your deck.
Well, maybe he doesn't need the midnight as much since the Applejack's gone anyway.
Whoops. That's me.
Why we don't do that?
I keep meaning to
Put it in there.
like
Yeah, there you go. Why is my text so slow?
Accidentally upset the die that was showing her AT.
Yeah.
Luckily, both of them remembered where they were at.
It would be even worse if it's your only score counter and you upset it.
Oof.
Like,
That
score is
is-
important, but I'm not always, like, acutely considering it like I am actions. So sometimes I forget if I'm at 7 or 8.
Go guys. Confront for 1. Go.
Oh, interesting. Pages is waiting on royal family.
Because you're at 14.
I think we have 2 minutes left.
Do we know who went first, and does that actually matter?
Don't think it matters.
Feathers went first, but for hard time, the game ends immediately.
Okay. Well, this might go well for Feathers.
Got any more of these dudes? Got any more of those dudes?
I don't need those guys. I have one. Yeah, I have 2 more. They're in here somewhere.
Play it for no value.
Yeah, so I think Pages was literally just making a bet
Be
on
sure.
does Feathers have any friends? Because if she doesn't, then getting rid of the one Jack is enough to prevent the confront. But if she has any at all, then yeah, she just scores the point.
You good? GG. Score phase.
Did you?
I have to,
No.
don't I?
No.
No,
I
Luna's
don't have
not
Luna.
out.
Oh yeah, Luna's dead. No,
Yeah.
I have 2 left then.
Yeah. Will you add some insurance? No, that's it.
All right.
No, he has 0 AT. He's got nothing.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Feathers.
Excellent.
Making
Yeah,
it to
going to
top
top four.
four, first tournament in a while.
We're gonna use all 2 hours.
That means you have to play in more tournaments,
I was
Feathers.
so afraid you had something that would like do something.
Yeah,
to
we
that
got
team.
You know,
we
I
got
blame
the
the
one
deck
match that had barriers of gameplay. All the others were done by the 90-minute mark.
I'm surprised you didn't play,
I blame the deck check.
what's her name?
These are because these 5 cards are right next to each other. These 2 cards are right next to each other, and
I
these
have
2
a hard
cards are
time
right next to each other.
justifying paying the 3 when I have all these. other
Well,
amazing
so
players.
Feathers will advance, and we'll go against Big Cheese,
2 turns versus just 1.
who is using Skystar, orange, white, but a different version of it.
Right, the
Chaos
chaotic
control.
control version, which
Yes.
typically, just in general, is pretty good against farm. So if I'm Feathers, I would be sweating a bit in that match.
The world is not.
Though
Yeah.
maybe she's just happy to be here in top 4.
I already had it, so it was like whatever.
Yeah,
I
either
know.
way.
I know.
The thing about Big Cheese's deck is normally it has to find ways to make its face-offs, but if your opponent's the one starting all the face-offs, then all you have to do is worry about getting your tools.
But no, I need
Yeah.
Ember to be-
Now there is a point of they don't have as many options against just a main, because one of the big ones there is the Chaos Magic Blast. But Discord Happy Trees is going to be really good in that matchup for sure.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
So Smithers, Big Cheese, Feathers.
Wow, my very own shinies.
Who am I missing?
Just jump into the water.
That would be great. Look how angry Tempest is. See how angry she is?
Wow.
Yeah, that. You know, if I took off my mask.
Oh, we're doing top 4 tonight.
That was so stressful because I don't know what anything does.
I don't think that's right.
I know, but
This is why you play on Gambuga. This
You
is
just
know.
beat up Troublemaker.
I had to read the throne card like 10 times.
It's okay, I also have to read
And then I
this
confused it with
process.
Luna.
Grandpa says that Feathers hasn't played in a tournament in 5 years. I'm trying to remember the last time she played in something.
Better off again. Or I think I have a higher chance against Feathers than against you.
Can we go off the stream?
Yeah.
Or do we have to be on the stream?
I'm gonna swap.
Feathers does not want to be streamed.
Makes me nervous.
Okay.
Don't be nervous.
We're just judging you constantly.
Oh, you didn't have.
Oh, it wasn't Queen Chrysalis, it was Sombra.
Where do you want to go?
Well, there was a Sombra next to Flurry on the table, but then there was one on her lanyard, which I think was different.